Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm doing another interview. My guest today is a musician and singer. They've appeared in The Voice UK this year. They did really well and the songs they sung were amazing too. Today they're going to tell us a bit more about themselves and some advice as well. So today Jason HAYLES will be joining me.
Hi, my name's Jason HAYLES. I'm in The Voice 2021, formerly Team Anne-Marie, and later Team Ollie.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming, Jason. So today I have some questions based on your music career. And my first question is, when did you first get into the music world?
I started performing from a very young age, so from the age of 5 is when I first got on stage. It wasn't singing or rapping in my first ever performance, it was dancing actually, but that sort of opened the door to going into to performing on a whole, and acting actually. On that first performance, there was acting and dancing, and that kind of, whet my appetite for performing.
Yeah, definitely. And when did you first kind of love music? When did you know that you wanted to definitely get into that world?
Well, from probably from that same sort of time frame, I'd say I really just fell in love with music as soon as I heard it. From my earliest memory, is when I, just really got into it and just had a passion for it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And obviously, one huge moment in your career is The Voice. So, what was it like auditioning for that show?
Yeah, it's a long process. It's a longer process than people probably realize because when you see it on TV, the program is around about a 12-week process where you see it from January. You see the blind auditions, the battles, the semi-final, and then consequently the final. But it actually started sometime maybe last summer or spring, where the whole process starts. There's a few auditions that happen before the blind audition and some introductions that happen, and then the blind auditions get filmed and televised later.
Oh, fantastic. And it's crazy, like, how long these processes take. Like you were saying, like, spring, it's quite a long time. But the blind auditions are always super cool, in my opinion, because, like, they don't know who's singing. Did you kind of agree, like, it was a cool experience?
Yeah, definitely. Really great experience. Cool, definitely pressurizing because you just don't know what to expect, but also a lot of fun because it's always great just being on stage. But having that opportunity to perform on a platform that big was great as well. So it's like just a thrill. Being up there is a thrill because you're like, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You genuinely don't know if they're going to turn or not, and you don't know how they're going to react.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you've been in the music world for a really long time. So I was wondering, do you have any advice to people who want to get into it?
Yeah, I think for someone like myself, I've continued on my musical journey throughout. You know, I would definitely say it's important to have perseverance and to continue, no matter how many doors are closed in your face. It's important to continue and learn from those things. So you've got to be, when it comes to music, you have to be very ambitious. So you've got to really have a vision for yourself and really believe that it's possible. But then you really have to continue going. So when knockbacks happen, when other people around you quit, when other people around you or you see doubt you or don't think it's possible, then you have to really have a strong mentality and keep going.
Yeah, that's some fantastic advice. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I definitely think people can take something from that. So earlier on, we were talking about the blind auditions. And what was it like when Ollie and Anne Marie turned around? How did it feel inside for that amazing thing to happen?
Yeah, it was exhilarating, really, and a bit of a relief because there's so many things that go through your head before you go out there. You start thinking, right, if they don't turn, then everyone's gonna see this anyway. Um, so getting that first chair turn was a relief because I was like, right, I know I'm in the competition now, and then getting a second one was a compliment, just a bigger compliment. And Anne Marie actually blocked Ollie as well to prevent him from taking me into his team. So she was very keen to work with me, and Ollie obviously was very keen to work with me as well because later I ended up being in his team.
Yeah, fantastic, and it's great that they wanted to work with you. And what was it like kind of working with them after the blind auditions?
Yeah, it was a great experience working with both of them. Just different. They both have their own ways of working, different mindset. But just both a joy to be around. Very positive, very honest with the feedback as well, which I found, and yeah, just an enjoyable experience. Really, nothing negative to say. Just more so valuable experience, I'd say, because they both have had their own journeys in music. We're probably around similar ages. Myself, Ollie, in the same, and Marie in the same kind of age group. So, I think they understood my journey and was able to feed that back. And, yeah, they were honest with me as well, and very optimistic about where I can go in my career.
Yeah, that's lovely, and I always think being honest is great as well. And obviously, you were on The Voice for basically throughout the whole competition. You got all the way to the semi-finals. So, what were the other rounds like, and how did it feel to keep moving on in the competition?
Yeah, it definitely feels like a massive achievement going as far as I did in the competition because literally there's one more week to go now, which is the final, the big finals ahead. Um, so I feel very proud to have got to the semi-finals. You know, each stage felt different. There was something different about it. Um, Different kind of pressure, different kind of experience, but definitely a lot of fun and something in terms of my achievements so far, I'm very proud of it. And it feels like a real life changing moment for me personally.
Yeah, definitely. That is a huge moment, and it's amazing that you got to experience it. So, I was wondering, do you look up to anybody in the music world?
Yeah, well, there's so many artists that I admire. It's hard to just put, have a short list, in place. But, I've always been, I've grown like, because obviously the style that I have, I'm into like very old school music. So Motown and soul, R&B. So the likes of Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, Diana Ross, and all of those legends of that generation, I'm really into. But then um, I'm also a hip hop artist, so I'm into like the old school hip hop, Nas, KRS-One, Rakim, Jay Z, and then obviously newer hip hop artists, Kendrick Lamar, J Cole, for example, and then R&B singers and rappers like Lauryn Hill, or I like Amy Winehouse, Adele, like all of these artists. There's so many different reasons why I would like different artists, and it's not necessarily to be, be similar to them in a way. It's more you can admire what they do and learn different things from them. So there's so many different artists that I admire. I only listed a few of them there.
Yeah, that's great that you look up to so many people, and it's always great to be inspired by them. So, in 2015, you entered the MOBO Unsung competition. So, what was it like being part of that?
Yeah, Mobo Awards. There, yeah, yeah. So it's an award show. It's a well known award show for British music, particularly Black British music, and it was a great experience for me as well. That was also a competition where it goes down to a public vote, and then a music industry panel chose. And fortunately for me, I was selected in the final 10, and that involved a tour and of the UK, and I got to learn a lot in that whole process as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what was it like touring the UK?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, just being on the road with some of the other artists. We were split into different groups in terms of the final 10. But it was, yeah, really cool. I performed in a few cities, Bristol, Birmingham, London. Was I in Manchester as well? I can't remember. It's about 5, 6 years ago. But yeah, really good experience for me. First time sort of being on the road, yeah, and getting a feel of that.
Yeah, well, it does sound like a great experience and journey to be part of. So the next couple questions are from one of your fans, Karis, and she was wondering what inspired you to get into the singing world.
You know what? I just always had a natural love for music. So as soon as I started listening to it and started, doing it, just listen. I used to, when I was sort of 5, 6, 7 years old, I used to just, my mum bought me some records and I used to put them on, like literally vinyls, and play them and dance and recite the lyrics and, pretend I was performing. And so it was just something I loved doing from a young age. And then I formed my first group when I was in school with a good friend of mine and someone I still work with today. And that's how we started performing. And then the rest sort of led on to doing a lot of other things.
Yeah, that's some lovely things which got you into the music world. It's always lovely finding out about the early stages of people's careers. So my next thing to ask you is, if you weren't a singer, what do you think you would be doing?
That's interesting. I've never really thought about that. I love a lot of other things. I don't know. Maybe I'll be a teacher. Maybe I'd be a boxer. I love boxing. Um, it's just a shame I got into boxing like later in terms of actually, trying it out and doing little bit of training here and there with like friends and so on. But it's something I love. I love the sport. Um, but yeah, definitely, I have interest in books and studying different things. So I feel like the way I connect with people, it might have led me into teaching and maybe not conventional teaching, like being in a classroom, but maybe like, something unconventional where you work with people, maybe like a life coach or, something like that.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and it's always interesting to know what people would be doing maybe if they weren't in the career they were in. So I have a couple more questions for you, and my next one is, it's very difficult, but what has been the best moment in your career, if you can pick?
Wow, that's a hard one. There's definitely been some highs, before the voice. Obviously, the voice I would say is probably the biggest achievement because of the platform and the number of people that would have seen the show. It's millions of people. But in terms of other personal achievements, there's some school competitions that I was in that at the time it was like the biggest achievement for me. So, a group that I used to be in with my friends in school, in secondary school, we won back to back school competitions. And we also won a competition where we got a chance to perform at the Queen's Golden Jubilee in 2002. And that was on BBC. It was televised. And we got to perform at Hyde Park. And that was just a massive experience for us because obviously we were filming, doing interviews on TV, and obviously performing at such a prestigious event was just huge for us.
Yeah, well, that is incredible that you got to have that experience. So, to kind of wrap up the interview, I have one final fun question to ask, and is, do you have any music stories from The Voice or from anything else you've been part of?
Yeah, I would say from The Voice, a really interesting story. I've actually posted it on my Instagram, which was when I was 17, 16, 17. I used to go to the Brit School of Performing Arts and I auditioned to be in a group called VS back in the day. And Marvin Humes, who's in JLS, he was part of that group. And they were managed by Simon Webb, who used to be in Blue, and another gentleman by the name of Ali Tennant. And, I can't remember if they were signed, I think it was EMI, and I nearly signed for that group. So I auditioned to be in it. They liked me, nearly signed for them. Long story short, I didn't get into the group in the end. And then years later, obviously, when I've gone to The Voice and auditioned, when I went to The Voice, the first person I saw as my vocal coach was Ali Tennant, who was managing the group 15 years ago or whenever it was. And it was just quite surreal. It was like serendipity. It was crazy seeing him after all those years. And I was still on my journey. He was on his journey still. But we crossed paths again. And it just felt like destiny at that point. So yeah, I think that was the craziest experience with The Voice in terms of a story for me.
Yeah, that's crazy. What a coincidence that you kind of met up again in the future. That's crazy. So we have came to the end of the interview now, and it's been fantastic finding out more about yourself and your career. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome, and also thank you to everybody who watched this interview. I hope you enjoyed it and found out some more stuff. I'll see you next week for another one. Bye, guys.
That's one. Cheers. See ya.